Hello, everybody. Welcome to February. Have you had a good start to the month? I hope it's been amazing. I can't believe it's the 7th of February already. Where on earth has our year gone? Holy smokes. Anyway, so today, if you've seen any of my stories, I wanted to share with you around unlocking the secrets to building better business relationships. Why? Why do we want good relationships in business? Why do we want good relationships anywhere? It's all about, there are so many factors, answers to that question. And what I'd love is for you, I'm just checking my phone over here because I'm going to, this is coming through. Oh, it's not showing up on my Facebook. Can someone let me know if you can see me, please? It seems to be there, but I'm not sure. Anyway, why do you think it's important that we have good relationships? What are the flow-on effects from that? Not just the feel-good of being in the relationship at the time, but if you think about relationships in business, how does that affect what we can and can't manage to do? What is it that is, what's the benefit of having good business relationships or better relationships in business than you have right now? So if you've done anything in and around this whole sales training, how do you get consumers to buy from you, all this stuff, right? Yes, we are all out there to serve our clients and to give them what they are needing from us, whether you are selling a physical product or offering a service. Obviously, your clients need what it is that you offer before they're going to spend any money with you in business. But there's this whole process around building that know, like, and trust factor. We've all heard it a million times. People have got to know who you are and that you exist. They need to like what you offer. And if they like you as a person, they are more likely to like what you offer as well. And they need to trust that what you have and who you are, but what you have is going to give them what they actually need. So if you are a mad earring enthusiast like I am, then I am going to be looking for businesses who have really cool earrings. And I need to trust that if they have an online site and I order from them, that they're actually going to take my money and package it and send it to me. And the earrings that I receive are going to be the ones that I request. And that when I wear them, they're not going to fall apart on me. Now, if I don't trust that those things are going to happen, then I won't buy. That's all it is to it. So, and honestly, like, I'm pretty low hanging fruit when it comes to earrings. I'm a big fan and I buy lots of them and I love them. So, if you happen to be in earring business, please share your link. Go ahead. But the thing is that if I don't know who you are, if I don't know that you exist, if I don't like what you have to offer, there are some earring businesses who create earrings that I actually don't like. Not very many, but there are some. And so I won't buy from them because I don't like what they offer. It's not necessarily a reflection of that human being. However, if you're a human being who I know who has earrings and I'm like, a little bit on the fence, the fact that I like you as a person will prompt me to spend more money with you. And I am not unusual as a consumer, right? If there's a little bit of an on the fence kind of situation going on, the more that you have that like factor built up, as in the better your relationships are within business, then the more likely people are to actually spend the money with you. Now, how do we do that? How do we take these relationships and build better relationships? What's the secret to building better relationships in business so that you can maximize the like factor in the know, like, and trust? Because if someone doesn't like you, the trust often doesn't actually ever exist. There's a whole, because when we, as human beings, if we don't like something, there's an automatic level of distrust that will filter into our unconscious decision making. So it's really important. Hey, Cameron, how you going? And Mitch, hello, good to see you. It's really, really important that you maximize that like factor within your business so that you can get the know, like, and trust maximized through the whole business process. Now, how do we do that? Well, there's this funny thing called the love languages. Now, most of us, if you've done any level of personal development, will have heard of the love languages, and most of us will defer to love languages are about our relationships with our friends and family. However, if you take those ideas and apply them in business, it's an amazing way to automatically up-level the quality of your relationships so that you can build those better relationships and end up with better business outcomes for everybody involved, whether that's for your business or whether it's for businesses that you're buying from. So let me do a little bit of a recap for those of you who are unfamiliar with love languages as a general thing. And then I want to go into some content that's really specific around how we get that love language topics and apply them in business themselves. Now, those of you who are watching, please, if you're disagreeing with what I have to say, or if you want to, feel free to comment. I'm pointing over here because that's where my phone is, where I can see the comments. But if you've got anything that you want to ask or any suggestions that you want to add to the discussion, please feel free, because I am more than happy to actually, engage in these conversations. But let me have a look at love languages as a whole. So there are 5 love languages. If you've ever read the book, it's by Gary Chapman. There's the original 5 love languages book, and then there's a whole bunch of other offshoot books that have been created for kids and couples and all sorts of different ones. If you haven't read any of these, start with the foundational one, the 5 love languages. It literally, that book and Personality Plus, when I first read this back when my babies were little, and my baby's now 20. So, probably 15 years ago now was the first time I went through this book. It just changed so much of my world, because I was one of the many people who looked at other people and went, I'm normal, you're a little bit unusual. And what it did was it helped me to understand myself better, but also to understand the other people in my world better, and particularly to understand my husband better. Because if anyone knows my husband and myself, you'll know that we are kind of chalk and cheese. Nothing wrong with that, except that when you are chalk and cheese, if you don't understand that you are chalk and cheese, after a period of time, the chalk and the cheese don't work so great together. And what has happened in my case is that as I've done the work to understand myself and everybody else better with the 5 love languages and other tools that I've used, I've come to understand him better, and therefore to be more appreciative of his strengths, which are very different to my strengths. And so we created this really lovely blend. And I guess it's one of the things that's important to apply, though, to all of your life, not just to to your personal relationships. But anyway, let me get back to these love languages. There's 5 of them. They are acts of service, physical touch, quality time, gifts, and words of affirmation. Now, what do they all mean? Love languages as a whole thing, it's like if you think about the verbal spoken languages, right? I'm obviously speaking English, and for those of you who are not Australian, you'll be wondering whether I'm speaking English, but I am, I promise. However, we have had Japanese exchange students come and stay with us a couple of years ago now, obviously. And when they are speaking to me and they're trying to communicate, and that their words are coming out in the Japanese language and I'm speaking to them in English, we're not connecting because we're not understanding each other and what we're saying. Morning, Barry. So we are saying the same things but speaking different languages, and so the communication is not connecting. Love languages are similar. We all give and receive love in different ways. There are 5 core languages, and how important each of those languages is to you as an individual is very specific to you. Now, I'm going to start to explain the 5 languages. I'm going to start with acts of service because that's my primary language. And Cameron, you would have seen evidence of this in the last little while. Acts of service is about doing things for other people. It's about helping them. It's about showing that you care by taking care of things. So if I'm at home, okay, as an example, right? My husband comes home, he works away Monday to Friday. He comes home on the weekends. One of the first things that I try to do every weekend, don't actually succeed every weekend, but I try to make sure that the day that he's coming home, that I've changed the sheets on the bed so they're all nice and fresh, that there is a, he's got fresh towels in the bathroom, and that I, have dinner cooked so he can eat if he chooses to. Often he gets home late, so he's already eaten. But either way, it's still important to me that these things that I like to have done nicely around our home are done before he gets here, so that for him, our home feels that little bit more welcoming, right? I do what I can. It doesn't often always work because of timing, but I try to get the washing done for him. Not because I have this need to be like a beaten down housewife or any other kind of negative connotation you want to put on that. It's because I want to do something for him to make his life a little bit easier, a little bit nicer, so that when he comes home, and he's only home for the 2 days, that he can spend more time doing the things that he wants instead of those mundane things that are, that don't necessarily excite most of us, right? It's just, that's my choice. That's my way of showing love to my husband, one of the many ways, right? But doing things for other people is something that is one of my ways of showing that I care. The flip side of that is if people do things for me, oh my goodness, it just lights me up, right? I was sitting here the other night and I was working, and my son brought up a cup of tea and a slice of cake for me to snack on while I was finishing getting ready to go away the other day. And it was just wonderful. I love that stuff. I love it. Like a cup of tea and a piece of something to snack on after dinner is nothing to organize, but it's the sort of thing that makes me feel really cared for, because acts of service are my primary love language. So the other languages that are part of it, physical touch. Now that's pretty obvious. But if you think about it, of outside of your, it's like the relationship I have with my husband, it's about this. If anyone who's a parent, note this with your kids. They'll be the ones who are very physical touch oriented. They'll be the first ones who will, if they see you at the school gate, they'll run up to you and give you a big hug. They will, if they're sitting down doing something and you walk past and just ruffle their hair, you'll just see them light up and glow a little bit, right? Other kids, it'll be, leave my hair alone, right? They're not your physical touch people. They're not feeling loved when you ruffle their hair. Whereas the kids who are physical touch, as soon as you do something basic like that, like it's not basic, it's important, but it's simple though. You'll see a shift in them if they are a physical touch person. In business, we'll come back to that in a little bit, but there's a whole lot of, there's lots and lots of translations of what that looks like. But essentially it's, are you someone who appreciates physical contact from the people that you care about? So obviously we've got to be careful in around the whole boundaries, etc. But there's lots of ways. Just a little tip. Because of the way that the male of the species are wired, many men will just go, oh, I'm absolutely physical touch. I actually challenge you on that one, because for many it's highly important, but it's not actually everything. So just have a think about that outside of it. And if you want to discuss that further, more than happy to, but I'm not going to talk about it on this one. Quality time. It's about spending time with someone. It's about sitting and having quality conversations. It's about making the time to sit and be present. It'll be the families who are very big on quality time. They'll do lots of things like picnics. Maybe it's camping. Maybe it's, it could be, movies or game nights or those sorts of things. But spending time together, movies not so much, because you've got the screen there that is a distraction and actually shifting your focus. But particularly if you look at those families who default towards board games and card games and all those sorts of cool things, absolutely, that's a quality time. That's a quality time love language, being in action right there. for those people who look at stuff like, you know, just to be on the absolute sort of transparent here, I'm not a massive fan of camping myself because I like a good bed and a good shower. Right? And I spent a lot of time, you know, out in the bush when I was a kid because I grew up there. But anyway, I love the time though. I love being able to sit around and have a yarn. You know, the quality time is, particularly as I get older, is more important to me. But it's, you know, camping is not the default to where our family goes to when it looks for quality time stuff. Now, where else have we got? We've done acts of service, quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, sharing compliments, saying I appreciate you, thank you, you know, whatever it is. I'm thinking that, Cameron, with our conversations, that you're probably a words of affirmations person. You would love to hear that you've done a good job, or I love the way that turned out, you know, especially when your clients are finished, you're finished with the work with them and they're like over the moon with the quality of the job that you've done, and they actually say that to you. My guess is that that would absolutely light you up. And that's wonderful because it's so easy, if we think about it, to actually share this. The third one is, fifth one, is gifts. It's about giving and receiving. For me, I love to give gifts. I love the process of, you know, if I'm randomly shopping, and like, don't ever expect predictable gifts from me because that's not the way my brain likes to work. But I love the process of, you know, I'm out looking and I see something and it just makes me think of a person. And so to be able to stop and buy that for them and give that to them, oh, I really, really enjoy that. The flip side of it for me is that I'm not a big fan of receiving gifts because I've got a cluttered house. When I get through that, it'll be easier. But I do really love to give gifts. So it doesn't need to be that you are giving and receiving these different love languages, or, you know, expressing and receiving in equal parts, right? It can be that you've got sort of a little bit of a, and, you know, like I said, I love to give gifts. I'm not so excited about receiving them. So how does this relate to business? Let me share some stuff that I've got for you very quickly. And it will be quick because I realize I have kind of chatted for a fair bit here. All right, you should be able to see a screen that says love languages. If someone can give me a thumbs up or something, that'd be really great. So our love languages, I've just gone through all the different ones: acts of service, giving and receiving gifts, quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. But how do we use these to build better relationships? What's the secret in here? It's about using them. But if you've got a client base where you don't personally know every single client, it's about touching on all those different points so that for the clients who are, you know, very strongly acts of service people, that they will feel loved. But also the clients who are quality time people, they'll also feel cared for in the process of your business. So what does that actually look like? Acts of service things, the things that you can do that are really great, is to be very conscious of having a seamless and easy experience for your clients. So, and where you've obviously put thought into the process of what it's like for the customer to be coming through their customer journey with you as a business, so that they can actually get what they need from you really, really, really easily. If you're on, but the flip side of that is if you break commitments. Now, I know, you know, if you look at the economic climate that we're living in right now, where you've got so many challenges within the building industry and so many, you know, there's a shortage of staff, there's a shortage of materials, there's a shortage of everything in like so many of our industries right now across the board, but particularly it's highlighted in the building industry. And so there will be times, if you are in that space, where you've promised a client that you'll have this finished by a particular date, and because of factors that you can't control, you won't be able to meet that. Now, how do you mitigate that? It's about communication. It's about contacting your client and saying, look, this is where I'm at. I know we said this, but I've got these factors coming in and I'm not going to be able to meet that commitment, but I can, at this point, my best expectation is here. And so while you still are, you know, needing to, and, you know, not every client's going to be comfortable accepting that reality of life, unfortunately, right now, but that follow through, that making sure that you actually keep that communication in place is one of the best ways to reduce the amount of, where these acts of service things could potentially harm that business relationship. Giving and receiving gifts. So we often don't think about gifts very much in our businesses. It depends on who you are and what you do. But if you think about, if you've got clients who are very strongly where gifts is a very strong love language for them, then something like thoughtful swag, as in, your branded materials, that sort of stuff can be really, really important to them. I know a client who is of a business who is, excuse me, he's in the IT industry, and we all know how frustrating IT can be. And so he has these little foam hammers that says, bash this, don't bash your computer, but please don't. And it has a little disclaimer on there to say, actually, please don't bash this. I don't know exactly what the words are on it, honestly, but something like that. If you like, it's a little foam thingy, so you can use it as a stress ball, but it's something that's a little bit unique. It's something that is actually helpful for people if they really do want to bash something. But there's been an obvious thought put into it. I've got these really lovely pens, and I don't even have one here, I don't think, to show you, but I've got these beautiful pens that I went and designed to have used for my business as something that I will only give to my clients who have worked with me. But I put a lot of thought and effort into the design of choosing the design of the pen that I went with, and I tested every single one of them when they arrived. So I made sure that any pen I gave to somebody is actually going to work. It's about being really conscious and thoughtful in your processes of how you create the gifts that you give to your clients. Maybe it's about sending them something for their birthday, if you keep records of that sort of stuff. Just a card and a scratchy. We had the guy who does our yard for us sent us a beautiful Christmas card and a scratchy just, in December of last year. And it was really handwritten, really unexpected, but very, very much appreciated. In terms of this whole, the lack of, if you want to, like, the flip side of this is that, if you're going to look at giving gifts to your clients, if you're not super enthusiastic about what you're giving is just another, blase whatever, then for those clients there'll be some people who love it just because it's a freebie, right? And that's fine. But if you're really trying to connect with your clients and really build those better business relationships, then the people who are acts of service people in your client base are not going to be excited by something that is really, really generic. Quality time. Now, we are all typically pushed for time as business owners, but how do we address that so that when we are working with our clients, that they feel like that they are getting our attention? Because really, quality time is about quality attention. So be available for people to talk to you. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that as soon as a client rings, you've got to pick up the phone. But if you've got a particular time of day where you can perhaps, message them back and say, I'm not available to speak right now, but I will be after 4 o'clock, or something along those lines. If you've got blocks of time in your day, if you can respond to emails, etc., promptly, emails and voice messages, that's an indication that you are valuing the time of your client. It helps with, if you cannot give them a response immediately, and most of us can't, then being able to come back to it in a timely fashion, or in a fairly efficient time, will actually help you. And it may be, if your business is really busy, or you've got a whole lot of stuff going on in your world, maybe some of this stuff needs to be outsourced. As an example, I rang a business yesterday, and it was a mobile number of a staff member there, and the phone rang out and then obviously diverted through to what I assume is I want to say a receptionist, but I'm not actually certain that receptionist was on site. I'm pretty sure that they were like one of those call services. I don't actually know the words right now for this name of this business, but you know how there are businesses that will literally take your phone calls and answer, be a physical person to speak to get a message from you that can then be sent to you, but instead of just leaving a voicemail, that you're talking to a human being. So whatever that's called, maybe that's something that would help with your business, so that you've got that that stronger acknowledgement. A voicemail is so much better than having nothing at all on your phone. But if you want to up level that, then being able to talk to having one of those call services, whatever they're called, is a way that those clients who are who for them quality time is highly important as a love language, it's something that they will really value. Some of the biggest mistakes that we can make is if you have got clients who are quality time and you miss those deadlines, that's not being respectful of the time relating to your clients. And again, I spoke about this before in one of the others, but where you've broken commitments. If because of circumstances that you can't control, that you're going to miss a deadline, then that communication with your clients beforehand, because it's very rare that you'll suddenly miss it and not even realize it's come and gone. That communication with your client beforehand is one of the best ways to mitigate the fallout from something like a missed deadline for a client who is very heavily quality time as a primary love language. Because again, we talk about love languages. It's all about building the relationships. If you want to have better business relationships, you need to be able to bring these factors into being so that you are conscious of what's happening in the interaction between you and your clients through that business process. The failing, if you don't listen to the needs of your clients or you're distracted during conversations, one of the best ways to piss people off, if they're quality time people, is to not pay attention. It's about, you're having a conversation with someone, get rid of your phone temporarily. Take out a notepad, write some things down. I've had some trade people here the last few months, and at this point now, I haven't worked with a whole lot of tradespeople in my life. I am not an expert in this space, but every single tradesperson that I've had here for different reasons, they've come, they've given me a quote, I've talked through all the different things, they've come back to me with a quote, and then when they've actually done the job, not one yet has actually gotten the job right in the way that I asked for it to be done. And I was very clear in the way that I've asked for things to be done. But also not one of them has taken out a notepad and written things down. And I've also realized, obviously, I know that I have, responsibility in this process as well. My thing is that I thought I was communicating clearly with the tradespeople. I thought that they understood exactly what I needed. And I'm not going to tell people how to do their job. If you can't do what I'm asking you to do, then, communicate with me and tell me why that can't be done and why your solution is better. I'm not unreasonable in this space, but not one tradesperson at this point has done that. And not one of them has done the job in the way that I actually really asked for it to be done. And also not a single one of them in that quoting process or even later on has sat there and actually written down notes as to exactly what I was asking for. Now, like I said, I'm not here to tell a tradesperson how to do their job in terms of, what needs to be done for things to be structurally safe, etc. But it is my home and I am paying the bills. And if I ask for, a particular thing to be done a particular way and it can't be, then educate me. Tell me why. Because the fact that this whole distracted during conversations and the deadlines and stuff have not been met, and all of those things have not done anything. Obviously, I think you can pick up from what I'm saying, hasn't done anything towards wanting me to go back and work with these businesses again. And quite frankly, I would rather have relationships with businesses where I can go, right, I need this done. You're the person I'm coming back to because you did an amazing job last time. And I would happily pay a premium. I'm not going to pay through my nose. But if you're a little bit dearer than somebody else who's in the market, but I trust who you are and I know what you do, and you've that whole like, know, and trust thing, know, like, and trust process, I've gotten to know your business. I like who you are and what you do and the way you communicate. I trust that you're going to do that job. I'll go straight to you and to get a quote before I even look at anybody else. But if you fall down in one of those, and in this case, that my trust has been broken because of the, people not doing what they were asked, I'll go somewhere else. You've lost a client. So those things, and I know I've got this talking about this on a quality time, but there's a whole lot of different factors that play into this process. Now, do you want to have to go and find another client every time you need a job and that it's time for the next lot of income that your business needs? Or do you want to be able to tap back into someone like myself, who I've got a big old list of renos that I want done around my home, and right now I'm not pushing at it because it's not major, but if a business that I knew, like, and trusted and wanted to work with again called me up and went, hey, we've got time to fit your next job in, you'd have work tomorrow. That's not a reality for most of the building industry right now, but it will come back to the time when that is the case again, right? So I guess a big part of this, and I know I'm picking on the building industry because of some people who are on here who are in that space, but also too, it's something that's relevant for me with what's happening in my life right now. And the building industry right now is so transparent with some of the challenges that are happening that I guess it's an easy example, but this applies to everybody. It applies to all the people that you're working with and all the businesses that are out there. Words of affirmation. This is a really easy one to think about in terms of how you interact with your clients and how your clients will interact with you, and the ways that you can use the words of affirmation to build your relationships. Unsolicited compliments. If you're wanting to build better relationships with other business owners, sharing the fact that you love what they do, sharing the fact that, or whether it's with business owners or whether it's with your clients, complimenting them about something that is important, that, if you're coming back to the building industry again, I'll just keep on picking on this one, right? We're on a little bit of a flow here. Some kind of compliment about how the house is set up, or something that, some improvement that you can see that they've done and how it has made the house better. Compliments like that, because most people are pretty proud of their homes. Compliments like that it may not be to your liking, but if you can see that it's an improvement on what it would have been, the homeowner is going to appreciate that. Positive reviews, my goodness, giving reviews to other businesses. For me, I love being able to give a positive review to a business that I've used, whether it's in any space, I don't care. And I need to make some time to do some more of these, because it helps the business owner so much. But also it's that whole interaction then becomes stronger. Encouraging people, right? Whether you're encouraging other, if you're in that building industry, you're coming into a place to give a quote, you're talking to the business, to the homeowner, they are, there's so much to do. It's, yeah, but I can see how much you've done, and I think I can visualize what it is that you're trying to create here. How can we help you with that one, right? That whole process of, for people who are very strongly words of affirmation, sharing those positive thoughts with people is really uplifting. It's the sort of thing that is going to help them to like you more as the business owner. Sending them a thank you card or a note. Now, there's pros and cons to this in terms of, if you are a really big business and super, super busy, then being able to send these out and with something like that's personalized is going to be a real challenge, just time-wise. However, the return on that for those who are words of affirmations people is huge, really, really huge. Like I was saying, the guy who does our yard for us has sent me sent our family a handwritten card, and scratchies for Christmas. Now, the fact that he took the time to write beautiful handwriting, but the fact that he took the time, so that one little card, there's elements of quality time, there's elements of gift, there's definitely words of affirmation because he was thanking us for the work and all the rest of it. Those things have, like, they've ticked multiple boxes. Anything that you do is going to tick more than one. Well, usually everything that you do is going to tick more than one love language box. So keep that in mind as you're sort of planning these things through. It's really important. You don't mind me. Mini earthquake created by a Great Dane there. Non-constructive criticism and condescending remarks. Quickest way on the face of the earth to destroy someone who is a words of affirmations person. You can watch people crumble in front of you, and I don't know anyone who wants that to happen, honestly. So it's really important to keep that in mind as you're discussing things, you know, like, and look, we are all human. There are times when we need to vent. There are times when we need to let our frustrations out, but being mindful of where and when you do that and how you direct that is really important. And especially if you want to build better business relationships, making sure that you share, at times we need to share negative feedback. That's okay. It has to happen. It's a part of the growth of us as human beings, but being mindful of how you do that so that you have constructive criticism, offering suggestions. This is where the problem is. This is what we could do to fix it. This could be would create a better outcome. So much more effective in terms of getting the message across in a way that's not going to, if you're talking to a words of affirmations person, they're still going to be gutted, right? They're just going to be a whole lot less gutted than if you are really kind of aggressive and non-constructive about it. Physical touch, important in business with this one. A good quality handshake and touch with permission, right? Because there's this whole, we've got to be so mindful of this, you know, sexual harassment, etc., within the workspace and within the professional space. It's so important. We don't want, you know, what you have seen as being a physical contact that is simply showing some kind of, you know, care or affection to become across as something that someone else perceives as putting them into the Me Too movement, right? You need to be really mindful of that. So again, like if you go and if you need to make physical contact with someone beyond a handshake or similar, then that touching with permission is really important. It's really important for those people who are physical touch people. By the same token, if you are a physical touch person, or like your client is a physical touch person and they go to put their hand out and you withdraw, that can be a huge insult to them. Huge. So that you be mindful of these things. Obviously, it's all space specific. It is all relative to where you are and what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you need to physically withdraw, maybe you've got gooey stuff all over your hands, then say, look, I don't want to shake your hand right now because I'm really dirty and I don't want to get you dirty or whatever, right? Maybe that's it. But which then means that physical withdrawal is then no longer an insult, right? But make sure that, I guess, in amongst all this, the big thing is to be mindful of it and then to communicate it. They are such key elements to this whole process. Now, hopefully, that has helped you. I shared a lot there. This is the sort of stuff that I love to do, though. This is the stuff that I've been, like I said, I learn around about this stuff in love languages and all of this sort of content. I started learning about this kind of stuff when my eldest was a baby. I've actually been on this personal development journey of some sort since I was 15 years old, and, you know, the social outcast at boarding school. And it's the sort of work that I do these days now with my clients on an ongoing basis. If this is something that is of interest to you, if you would like to find out some more, just drop me a line. Like, let's have a yarn and see whether or not, whether you just need a little bit more information around this or a bit of a brainstorm, or whether there might be some deeper work that we can do together. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off. I'm going to say thank you for joining me. I'm really glad that you are here. I hope that this whole thing about how you use love languages is useful for you, and particularly if you consider that in 7 days' time we're on Valentine's Day, so maybe it will help in those other relationships as well. But I thought that sharing about love in the month of February was probably pretty relevant. So have an amazing day. I don't know what you're doing, but I know that I'm going to have an amazing day. But for now, it's bye from me.